I was talking to a male friend of mine who hasn't been in a relationship in a long time. We came to an agreement that we essentially want a best friend with whom we can have a sexual relationship. At the end of the day, we felt that most men crave companionship and physical intimacy with someone who will support us when times get tough. So what I want to ask my fellow men is whether your ideal relationship is essentially a best friend with whom you have a sexual relationship. If not, what is? I am open to hearing from women and am also very interested in non-heterosexual or non-monogamous men. Share your thoughts. Story 1. Yes, I guess. Beyond the obvious desire to build a relationship so my future children have a great mother and parents with a secure, loving relationship that serves as the foundation of our family, there is also an emotional aspect. Sure, I can be personal and vulnerable with the boys, but it is different with a girl. Not in a sexual way, but I will never cuddle up with the boys. Story 2. Personally, while I definitely want to have fun with her like a best friend and have great chemistry, I feel like I want to feel completely at home with her. Like I can talk to her about anything without fear. I just feel like our connection is deeper than just good friendship with sex included. We make each other happier than we are when we are alone. Story 3. That is a great question. For me, the best ideal of a relationship is being with a girl who I can talk to about anything or nothing and be happy either way. Someone who I can talk to about the little things that happen to me in a day that are too silly to discuss with most of my friends. An ideal relationship is that kind of friendship combined with the fact that we get to have intimacy with each other. Story 4. My ideal relationship includes frequent sex, friendship or partnership, and emotional vulnerability. Alone, I can get friendship from my friends, emotional vulnerability through therapy, and casual sex from dating apps. Finding all three in one person in ways that align with me is the difficult part. If one of these is missing without good temporary cause, I am better off leaving the relationship and sourcing each need individually until I find a better relationship. Life is too short to be unsatisfied. You only get to do this once. Story 5. No, if I wanted a best friend to have a casual relationship with, I would just be gay. I want a woman I can be friends with, but there is a spark that makes me want to tear her clothes off and a flirtatious banter between us. I want different values and skills in my partner than my friends. For instance, I do not care too much if my friends are not financially responsible or tidy around the house, but I want those traits in my partner. I do not mind my friend's religion at all, but my partner needs to be closer to me and have similar ideas on how to raise children or not have them. There is some overlap in what I want from a friend and my partner, and I need to be able to be friends with my partner, but there is also a different set of qualities I need from a partner. Story 6. Absolutely. They are literally your partner in life and the person you typically spend the most time with. Friends can come and go and are definitely essential, but having a deep connection with someone you share most of your life with creates a better foundation and overall experience, as long as you can support each other's independence as well. Story 7. Maybe I'll play devil's advocate, but I've never thought of my partner as my best friend. They're your partner, and that itself is a different category than a best friend. One is not necessarily better, but I would say one definitely carries more weight. With a best friend, you look for similarities on a more basic level. Core values are a bonus, although I do not dismiss them. I love hanging out, staying up late, watching sports, smoking, doing silly stuff, and so on with my friends. For me, I have a good connection with those I consider my best friends, and to me, this is simple. Saying the same about a relationship with your partner is just not true. My partner and I connect much more when it comes to our expectations about what we both want from a relationship. Accountability, setting boundaries when things can get out of hand, goals, values, and similarities in what we expect for ourselves are all things that differ from what I want from my friends. Story 8. I think that is a fine description, but I would also include that it goes further into compatibility and values. I have great friends who I strongly disliked living with. I do not need to agree as much with friends. It is also backward looking. You need someone who is a great friend, who you can work and live with, who is physically compatible with you, and who you are mostly on the same page with. But then, at some point, this is the person who has been your partner and your collaborator, who has been by your side for every major experience for the past several years, who raised your children with you. Even if you change and grow apart in some ways, This becomes a large part of what makes that relationship different from simply a good friend. Story 9. No, it's more than that. A best friend, yes. A sexual relationship, yes. But a partner does more than that. They try to take care of you as much as you take care of yourself. Someone to push you to do the things you know you need to do and to support you in them. To go out of their way to tell you when you're wrong and still be supportive of your decisions even when they disagree. I don't expect my best friends to do all that. To be really dedicated to you like that, and you to them, that's what commitment is. It includes duties and responsibilities you don't ask of just a friend or sexual partner because it would be rude. That commitment and trust are more important than sex and more important than friendship. The only relationship really similar to that is the parent-child relationship, and that is not balanced or equal. Your relationship with your partner needs to be committed in the same way but also balanced and equal. It's a lot to ask and a lot to give. Story 10. I have seen people say they have friends and do not want their partner to be their friend. They want them to be their partner. That is confusing to me because it appears they are confusing the meaning of a best friend with the idea that if my partner is my friend, they will act and treat me like one of the boys. A best friend in a partner simply means, in my opinion, that they are your biggest supporter. They are the person you trust more than anyone, the person you want to be around the most, your ride or die. It does not mean that your girlfriend is going to behave inappropriately because they think it's funny. It just means your partner is the person you want to be with the most and the person you can turn to no matter what. Especially in a marriage where you choose to legally commit to someone and close off the idea of being with anyone else ever again, it should be because this is your favorite person. I cannot imagine actually being sexually attracted to someone the way I would need to be for a 14-year relationship without the deep emotional connection, trust, and love that I associate with my partner is my best friend. The distinguishing factor is they are not your best mate. They are not your brother. So yes, that would be my ideal situation. Story 11. I'm not a man, and I can't directly ask him for personal reasons, but I'm pretty sure my spouse would say most of our relationship was like this. There can be a spark on top of that, but the spark comes and goes. You wave goodbye to it, knowing both that it doesn't have to be there and that it will probably return when circumstances permit. If you are worried month to month about when and whether you will scrape together rent, the spark can become scarce. The main part of the relationship is the trust and day-to-day connection. Invest time and heart in that connection because it is what keeps you going when the spark is on vacation. Story 12. I think the main difference is that I would not expect a friend to put me first, or for them to expect me to put them first in the same way you put your partner first. I would drop anything and anyone to be there for my partner in times of need, and vice versa. You cannot really expect that level of dedication from a friend because their first priority is their partner too. Also, going through pregnancy and childbirth with your partner brings you closer than you might have thought possible, at least in my experience. But best friends who are partners is a very good place to be, and I would recommend holding on to that person very tightly. Edit. I am a bisexual woman in a heterosexual relationship. Story 13. My wife is my best friend. We met 22 years ago and got married 21 years ago. I think you have to have that best friend relationship because life can get hard sometimes. You need that special bond that acts like the mortar to the marriage. You can have a marriage without them being your best friend. I have seen it, but I feel the relationship is stronger when you have that second layer. But that is just me. Story 14. If you are each other's entire world, it is not ideal. That ease with each other is nice. Conversation flows easily. You do many things together that bring you both joy and fulfillment. Intimacy comes frequently and enthusiastically for both of you. But complementary personalities are also nice. You make each other better people and a more complete person as a couple. Frankly, you both are also very comfortable with your independent time. You can pursue your own interests, and she can pursue hers at times. If you are each other's entire world, it is not ideal. Story 15. A woman here. A friend with whom I have excellent chemistry, banter, and sex. Friendship and sex, what a combination. Feels foolproof. Story 16. That's kind of like my wife with extra commitments and tax benefits. Maybe because I was not great at dating and focused on my career, to get married later and had a better idea of who I was and what I wanted. Even without sex, I love spending time with her. She is funny, goofy, nerdy, and smart. I don't understand what you are removing from the equation. Is it commitment? Because if you bail on your best friend and treat them poorly, they won't be friends for long. You want someone who will have your back when times get tough, and you need to have theirs when times get tough. Is it polyamory? A partner who does not care if you try to sleep with others? Story 17. Prior to meeting my partner, I would have said yes to having a best friend with whom you have a sexual relationship, but in my current relationship, she is so much more. For me, it is a balance between similarities and differences. We are the same person on many levels, which is unexpectedly nice for both of us. It allows us to care for one another in the way we both need. We are also different in many areas, which adds a level of interest in an unexpected way. Learning about each other's hobbies and interests. We genuinely take interest in finding out more about one another, quirks included. We also have great chemistry, but combined with everything above, it really takes the entire relationship to a new level and allows intimacy to exist in more than a sexual form. We are vulnerable with one another and love each other's touch in all forms. The physical contact and the need and desire for it from both of us also add to what I mean when I say she is so much more than my best friend. So yes to your question, but with additions to be more than a best friend. Story 18. My wife is my best friend. I would rather spend time with her than anyone else. We relax and play video games, go for walks, enjoy laughing and being silly. We have sex, do chores, and talk about the future, as all romantic long-term relationships do. She is my best friend. Story 19. Kind of, but I do not want to have sex with most of my best friends, so not really. The partners I am interested in are because of the spark between us, which is its own thing. I can have deep friendships that are different from deep partnerships for more reasons than sex. For example, I have one friend who I just find so fun to be around and wish I could be around him more. To the extent that I would definitely want to have sex with him if I were gay, but I am just not physically attracted in that way. Story 20. Sam Hyde speaks on this. Stop thinking you need your woman to align with you completely. You know who is going to align with you completely? A man. A man with Asperger's. I can talk about Alul's writings or Roman coinage with the brothers while we play some intense game. And seriously, I do not recommend bringing up Roman coinage on a date. I would have higher odds of finding a woman who says she is into that brand of weird, and then next thing I know, I am waking up in a back alley with the worst hangover possible, feeling rough stitches on my side because I just got my kidneys taken by the cartels. Story 21. I do not have a single best friend, but my ideal close friend relationship is not as emotionally intense as a romantic relationship. I know that makes me a paragon of toxic masculinity or whatever, but a really emotionally intense relationship is mentally draining and I want the opposite from friend hangout time. Story 22. My wife does things I don't do or even think of. She compliments me in a nice way. We still do things together and enjoy each other's company as if we are best friends, but it goes deeper than just being best friends who are intimate. You don't build your life with your best friend. I build my life with her. It is no longer just my life. It is our life that we are building together. Story 23. In a way, yes. I want to be able to trust her with anything, laugh, and share moments together. However, I do not want my wife to talk like my male friends or have their sense of humor. I want her to be feminine as she is. I do not want her to be the female version of my close male friends. Story 24. My wife is definitely my best friend, who I have a sexual relationship with. She embodies all the qualities of a best friend. She is always willing to spend time with me. I can talk to her about anything, everything and nothing. I have her back through thick and thin, and she has mine. Platonic friendships are vitally important, as are familial relationships. In many respects, they differ more in degree than in kind, but I believe there is an important difference in kind as well. My wife is someone with whom I share the totality of my life on a far deeper level and in a more intertwined way than even with the closest friendships. We work together toward common goals. We fully support each other in pursuing independent goals, sometimes making sacrifices accordingly. She makes me better. I make her better. With her, I can be my best self and live my best life, and I try to provide the same for her. Her happiness is my happiness, and mine is hers. Speaking as someone who has explored polyamory and non-monogamy, I don't think much changes with other relationships. It opens up some of those dimensions with more people, and with my wife, it ties into mutual support and making one another happy and better. It's not much different than having a hobby one of us enjoys but the other does not. The one who does not participates in supporting it because it makes the other happy and fulfilled. This other person is adding to your life and making you happy. That's wonderful. I want that for you. Story 25. Absolutely. My current and longest relationship is a just balance of both. We game together, love being intimate together, shop together, share a love for dogs, have been on the same wavelength since we met, find each other funny, and aren't afraid to laugh at each other, share sensitive things, or ask for help or advice. We are also good at giving each other time to ourselves, which I need for my mental health and she is not used to. Recently, I took an interest in something I never imagined she would do. It is physical and quite intense, and she made me take her. Now she is into it more than any of my other friends and even bought as much equipment as I have. Never will I find another woman this perfect for me. Yes, she has flaws, but I tell her and she listens and tries to do better for me, as I do for her. Find a friend for life, guys. The intimacy will be there if you work at it, and it is leagues above any other intimacy in life when you love someone, they want to please you, and you both have fun doing it. Story 26. My wife of 10 years is absolutely without a doubt my best friend and my favorite person ever. I would not have married anyone who was not those things. So yes, definitely. Story 27. Pretty much, yeah. My wife is my best friend. We share many interests, go to concerts together, show each other memes, talk about our days, or just hang out, each doing our own thing. When one of us is going through something tough, the other is there for support. I figure that's what defines a best friend. In my relationship, sex is just an additional perk to that friendship. Neither my wife nor I have particularly high libidos, so it's not something that drives our relationship. Story 28. Mostly, yeah. Although to be honest, I don't know that I could spend as much time with my best friends as I do with my partner. We watch television together, have home offices in the same home, go out together, hang out with each other's friends, and spend the vast majority of our time together. We simply enjoy each other's company, whatever the event. We also talk about everything. She knows what I'm going through, what I've been through, including my exes, my mistakes, my wins, and where I want to be in the future. One or two of my friends know most of this, but at this stage, my partner knows me best. That said, I think there is one element missing from your point. The things you need in sharing a life together. I am thinking of things like similar priorities, financial management, shared responsibility, and so on. Those are things I do not necessarily need from my best friends. Story 29. I married my best friend. We have all the fun together. We can go on any trip, any party, any event, and one of us makes sure we have the best time possible. We care for our friends, help them through divorces, or just make them food. We have a blast. We have learned to really love each other's interests. We can talk about anything. There is no happy wife, happy life nonsense. We do our best for each other and put the other person first whenever we are able. The sex is amazing. We both love doing what our partner's favorite is. We talk about anything. We watch adult content together sometimes. If a woman flirts with us when we are out together, we flirt back a little. We are not super compatible roommates. I would love a well-designed, clean space, and she loves chaos and maximalism. Her family had some major relational issues, so we have a pretty rough fight a couple of times a year. But outside of that, this is what I tell everyone. Look for your best friend. I can't say it enough. Story 30. As a man who tends not to date casually, even though I am younger, I need someone who is more than just a friend I have sex with. I saw a comment about a relationship being about entwining lifestyles, and I strongly believe that. I have friends I would not consider for a relationship. They are my best friends, lifelong friends who support me completely, but our lifestyles are different, and I definitely do not want to have sex with them. Romantic attraction and relationships require something deeper and more thoughtful to me. Story 31. I think this applies mostly if you are young or just looking for a girlfriend, but as you age, there are more things to a lasting relationship than friendship and good sex. In my case, I would add that having common life goals is very important. You can have the best sex and best friendship, but if she wants children, a house, and a stable life, and you want to be on the move and travel the world without children for as long as you can, then it is definitely better to end things. Story 32. I think that is a great starting point for a healthy relationship, as long as you are also willing to work through conflicts together. Story 33. It's not just that. It's someone I trust, respect, and love more than any friend. I never had a best friend I trusted or cared for to the same extent as a woman I would be in a relationship with. Love is above friendship and sex. I never had a truly deep friendship with anybody. Nothing comes close to the level of closeness I feel for someone I am in love with. It's not even remotely comparable. I find it really weird, disturbing, and sad that some people do not manage to distinguish between friendship and love. Story 34. More or less. I used to joke around with my male friends about this when my relationship with my daughter's mother was falling apart. I get all my emotional support and validation from my friends already. The only thing a woman could give me that they could not, as straight men, is physical intimacy, which we joked could be obtained elsewhere. Realistically, it is more than that, though, as physical intimacy is exponentially better with someone you have strong feelings for. My best friends and I often tease each other and make jokes at each other's expense. That is not something I am interested in doing with a romantic partner. I just want the same support, knowing she is always on my side and that if either one of us has any issues, the other will be there to get through it together. Plus, the loyalty of my closest friends far exceeds what I have ever experienced in a relationship. I would like to have that as well. I am tired of being lied to and cheated on. So, essentially, a best friend is what I am looking for in a partner, though it would still be a bit different from the friendships I have with my male friends, aside from the obvious physical aspects. Story 35. I think this describes what aromantic people want, like me. To me, that is how relationships have always felt. Most people want some form of romantic attraction as well. However, from what I have seen, the older people get, the less they tend to value this. Story 36. It goes way beyond best friend. I couldn't stand to live with my best friend, see him every day, and have major life decisions influenced and limited by him. After being married for 8 years, I think partner is the word that captures the relationship best. The logistics of an intimate relationship brings severe limitations, and you make up for that by working together and helping each other thrive in ways that you couldn't separately. For example, for me, it means taking seriously the challenge of how I can make a good showing and a good impression at a party full of her professional colleagues and work contacts. For her, it means taking nutrition and fitness more seriously because she knows her habits influence me, and I care a lot about my fitness for the sake of my health and my ability to pursue my hobbies. I'd rather skip the parties and say to hell with those popular kids and their schmoozing, and she'd rather have dessert with every meal, but we understand we're in a game that can be win-win if we look out for each other's priorities. Being better as a team with intimacy. That's the ideal relationship. Story 37. Definitely not. I have no interest in befriending someone who takes pleasure in decorating cakes or organizing closets, or dating someone who likes to wield axes and butcher sheep. Story 38. This is an interesting question with some necessary nuance. First of all, yes, you need to be friends with your partner. Good friends. Great friends, in fact. You should laugh together, be genuinely excited to do things together, support one another, invest in one another, and prioritize each other. Much the same as you would in a truly great friendship. If you don't have that as a backbone, why be in anything at all? That being said, my partner ticks a lot of boxes I wouldn't think twice about in a friendship. Sex and intimacy, financial philosophy, future planning, cohabitation standards, temperament in conflict, and so on. I love my friends dearly, but I'm free to love them at a certain distance. A distance free from the logistical and pragmatic concerns that a long-term relationship requires. Do I laugh with my partner as freely as I do with my 2 best friends in the world? No. But does she make me laugh daily? Yes. Can I talk with my partner in excruciating detail about every whim, passion, and project I invest in, the same way I might with another great friend of a precisely similar mind? No. But could I speak with my partner about things I would never want to share with anyone else? Absolutely. My partner is one of my best friends. One of many people who color my life, enriching it with deeper perspective, humor, and intimacy. It is not any one person's job or burden to render you complete. But importantly, she is the only person among those people with whom I want to build an active future in a domestic sense. There are vulnerabilities, rhythms, and layers of trust that only exist in that space because this kind of bond carries a different weight and texture. Story 39. Yeah, pretty much. My wife and I were good friends before we started dating. Not a whole lot changed in the relationship other than sex when we did start dating, and she is my best friend now, 20 years later. It is pretty great. Story 40. Essentially, someone who will be my loyal partner, who will support me and make my life easier by doing the things I do not want to do or dislike doing. Also, someone who can cover my blind spots. No one is perfect, and I cannot do or know everything. Of course, I will do the same for her. Story 41. This is exactly what most men want. A best friend who will have their back and with whom they also have a physical relationship. That would be perfection. I do not get the sense that this is what women want in a marriage, but I do not have a clear understanding of what it is. Please enlighten us. Story 42. Yes. I mean, not just the act of sex, but the whole spectrum of sexuality. First and foremost, I am looking for a buddy to hang out with. Since I already have a great group of friends, I do not often seek relationships with women. Just fire up the computer, do some work, and go drink beer with the boys. Story 43. I think that is a great starting point, but for me, it is more about finding someone who understands and supports my values and passions. Story 44. I'm honestly not sure. The only relationship I have ever had was online, long distance, and it was pretty short-lived, so I do not have a lot of experience. I think what I would want from a relationship is someone I can share my thoughts and passions with, and yes, obviously physical intimacy. I would like to feel desired and appreciated and do the same for them too. If the relationship was just about physical intimacy but I could not talk to her about the things I like or enjoy talking together, that would not work for me. Story 45. The girl I'm seeing right now is very Christian. I'm not religious at all, but I told her I would go to church with her if she wants me to. She's the woman I need and the one I want to marry. She grounds me so easily. If I'm upset about something, I talk to her about it and my problems just wash away. I don't know how she does that. We've been together for months, and my heart still skips a beat every time I see her. We've had sex twice. She told me she wanted to wait for marriage. The first time, we both got kind of drunk. She dragged me into her parents' bathroom, and we had sex there. The second time was more intentional. A few days later, she let me know that she really should be waiting for marriage. I told this woman I plan to put a ring on it, and that I have no issue waiting. Sex is not even that important to me. I enjoy it, but I don't feel I require it anymore. As long as my little kickstand is around, that's good enough for me. I love just being in her presence and trying to make her smile or laugh. I feel no woman I've ever been with has understood me like she does. Not only does she calm me, she sees right through my nonsense and calls me out on it nonstop. I really love that. A woman that isn't afraid to say, "You're being silly. Stop that before I make you stop." Mind you, this woman is tiny compared to me. I don't think she could physically stop me from doing things. I just respect her so much that I immediately reflect when she calls me out. Story 46. My ideal relationship is to be intimate every other weekend and then not see each other for 2 weeks. Story 47. Ooh, there is something kind of naughty or appealing about that idea. The idea of a nice female friend who is close enough to have a sexual relationship with me is quite pleasant. I feel that in a marriage, you should be each other's best friend, essentially. Yes, I would be inclined to agree with you. Story 48. Yes, totally. Although in my experience, having too much in common with someone and doing too many things together can actually interfere with the romance, oddly. As paradoxical as it is, people who do not share many common interests tend to engage more in romance when they spend time together. The best of both worlds is ideal and can happen, but I feel like it just does not. Story 49. Yes. Of course, the fact that she feels safer with me around and respects my opinion on things shows that she actually wants to check with me before making many decisions. She considers me to be wise, not because I expect her to wait for me. She asks for my help with heavy lifting, tasks that none of my male friends would do. So yes, she is my best friend, but not the same as a male friend at all. Story 50. For me, the sexual part comes before the best friend part. Once you are regularly having sex with someone and getting to know them, that is when love comes in. Story 51. I will get downvoted for this, but no. My ideal is someone I get along with and can see a couple of times a month to relieve the need for a couple of hours, and then we go our separate ways. No emotional attachment is necessary. Story 52. Not just a best friend I can have sex with. No, I love my wife, and she is my best friend in that she is the friend I spend the most time with. She is great, but she is not into all the same things I am, which is a good thing. You are mistaken if you think you want a wife or mother of your children who is just as immature as you in all the same ways, which is exactly what your best friend has to offer. You are not as intimate with your best friend as you are with your wife. You do not share space in the same way. Your relaxation happens in a different mindset. You do not tell the same jokes or stories to your wife that you would to your best friend, partly because respect comes from a different perspective. They are not impressed or excited by the same things. Imagine telling stories about your hobby to someone who does not share that hobby. Same feelings. No, I am not talking about keeping secrets. I want a wife who is a good person, who is strong emotionally and physically, who is smart, who is a good role model for my children, who is capable of making good decisions in my absence, who respects me and will move heaven and earth to make sure I am succeeding, who will pick up the torch and run hard if I drop it. Collaboration without communication, same trajectory. You just do not plan a family, a legacy, or your long-term future with your best friend. They should be there to celebrate with you and help you along if they can, but they are a different pillar of support. It is not your best friend's success. When you succeed, it is indeed also your wife's success. Marriage should be that way. Your goals become entwined. Ride or die. Before we get too far into the details, you should support your best friend if they need help standing, and you should celebrate their victories. But for your wife, you should reel in the moon to make her goals a reality because her success is also yours. Your best friend may have their own success, but it is not yours. If you want to have sex with your buddies, that is fine, but do not pretend your best friend is wife material. There is more to it. Holy matrimony. Strip the religious connotation aside if you must, but the vibe is the same. If it is not, you will not stay married. Story 53. Yes, but I would also add that it is important to work well together. Long-term relationships involve shared responsibilities, and good friends do not always manage bills together effectively. Story 54. No. My ideal relationship is rooted in sexuality and erotic compatibility. I do not think that is the same as covering all the bases of what would make for a best friend. I basically have to feel like I do not need to have a filter around them to become intimate, but that does not mean we will agree on everything or even necessarily like the same things. Story 55. That's exactly what adolescent me fantasized about. But no, adult me wants a whole exclusive adult relationship. Story 56. I do not want to share my entire life with a best friend, so in my opinion, it is even more special than that. If adulthood is a game, a relationship is cooperative mode, even more so than siblinghood, which is more like a massively multiplayer online game since you can part ways without an eyebrow raised. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.